As a kid, I was collecting Pokemon cards. As I got older, I collect credit cards. So here are a bunch of credit cards that I've collected over the past few years. So in today's video, I'm gonna show you how to use a credit card correctly to build credit fast. What's up, winners? My name is Naam. So if you're new to this channel, welcome. Here we talk all things personal finance. Subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos. Using a credit card is a double-edged sword. You play the game right, you get rewarded with points, money back, travel, and free hotel stays. If you play the game badly, you may respawn in the middle of a firefight. But on a serious note, if you're not able to keep up with your credit card payments, having high balances, and not paying them off, this can have some pretty serious effects on your credit score. But why does a credit score matter? By having a good credit score, this will save you money on your mortgage, an auto loan, places where you want to rent, and sometimes employers may even pull your credit report. I've been using credit cards ever since I was 18 years old, and my credit score is sitting at a little bit over 800 now. I feel like it is important to mention this because other YouTubers who talk about building credit, they never show their own personal credit score. So I'm just trying to be as transparent as I possibly can. So let's dig right into this topic. Why a credit card? First things first is that you can certainly build credit without a credit card, but having a credit card, there's so many advantages just besides building credit. Credit cards are convenient and they are easy to diversify your credit through different types of accounts. But there are key benefits to credit cards that you should consider. And the first one is free money. I don't know about you guys, but I'm always down for free. There are plenty of credit cards out there that don't have any annual fees, which means that they're pretty much free to use. Not only do they cost you nothing to use, but they can also earn you money. This is kind of like passive income in a general sense. You can earn cash back, sign-on bonuses, points, and other types of incentives. But there is a catch. Credit cards are free to use as long as you pay your balances on that credit card every single month. If you have late payments and keep balances on your credit card, then this is not free. There are credit cards that also have annual fees, which is also not free, so the perks have to outweigh that fee. So now let's move on to my next point, buying power. Instead of carrying around $10,000 in cash, why not put it on a credit card and earn some cash back while you're doing it? You might be thinking, I got a debit card. Why do I need a credit card? The thing about credit cards is that there are plenty of credit cards out there that have 0% APR up to 18 months. This is what I call OPM, other people's money, kind of like OPP in another sense. So this would basically mean that you can get a personal loan that you would not have to pay back until 18 months later. Before all the Dave Ramsey fans come yelling at me, I'm not advertising to put everything on a credit card and wait last minute to pay it off, but having more time to pay things off comes especially handy when you grow in a business. You're using other people's money to make you more money. So now let's keep it moving with our next benefit. Safety. This is probably one of the best features with a credit card. You are not held responsible for any type of fraudulent credit card use. So you will not have to worry about any charges as long as you report your credit card as lost or stolen right away. So let me tell you guys a quick story. Not too long ago, I was notified by my bank that I spent $180 at a sandwich restaurant in Dallas, Texas. Now just keep this in mind, I live in Southern California and I don't think I can spend $180 at that sandwich spot. As soon as I got a notification from my credit card app, they just asked me to confirm if this was an accurate expense. So I quickly responded saying hell no, and I gave my credit card company a call and I told them about the whole situation. They told me that I'm not responsible for any of the charges and they refunded everything that was made on my credit card. They also closed out that card and sent me a new one. So imagine having some cash that you lost and somebody spent the cash. There's no way that you could ever get that money back. Even if I had a debit card that was stolen from me and someone miraculously knew my PIN, and if they made some purchases on that debit card, it's gonna be extremely difficult for me to get that money back. Having a credit card just gives you an extra layer of security in case if you lose your card and something happens. Now let's keep it moving with the perks. So far, I feel like I told you guys all the good things about why you should open a credit card, but this is what probably most people think about. Most people, they think about the rewards, the discounts, and the benefits. A lot of cards out there, they can give you rewards like points or cash back, which can add up to a lot of money over time. Some credit cards also give you enough bonus points for free nights and hotel stays. Plus, some credit cards will give you additional discounts at all different types of retailers. So if you're a person who goes to Rite Aid every once in a while and you do have a Chase credit card, they can sometimes give you 10% cash back for that purchase. Remember, this is all from things that you're planning to purchase anyways. With a credit card, you get benefits like purchase protection, which cover your items against theft or damage, and you also get extended warranty on things that you just bought. Is it me or every time when something breaks, it's always right after the warranty? So enough about me talking about all the good things about credit cards. Now let's actually talk about how to actually use it. Before I start talking about how to build a credit card using a credit card, you're gonna need to have a credit card open on your own or become an authorized user on someone else's account. Getting a card on your own may be a little bit challenging if you had no credit before, but there are a bunch of ways to do so. You can either first apply for a secured credit card, which is a card where you would have to put down a security deposit, and that security deposit would in turn be your credit line. Another option is just to apply for a credit card, but preferably from your own personal bank or your credit union. because more likely than not, you get a better chance of approval. But if you already have a source of income and a bank account, you can actually apply for some certain credit cards that will just go off your financial information. I'll post a link to the video up here. So once you have your own credit card or secured card, this is how you should use it to help build your credit. The first tip is to pay on time. This is probably the most obvious, but the biggest tip I can share with you is just to make sure that you pay your statement balance on time every single month. This is so important. The reason why I say this is that your payment history is 35% of what goes into your FICO credit score. That is the biggest chunk. So if you were to take anything away from this video, just make sure that you pay your payments on time. Whenever you sign on to your credit card mobile app, or whenever you receive your statement balance in the mail or through email, you would typically see two different types of amounts. You would see your statement balance, which is also known as your new balance, and you also see your minimum payment. So let me start off with the statement balance or the new balance. For every credit card, charge cards, or secure credit cards, there's usually a statement cycle. This typically ranges from 28 to 31 days. Whenever you get your credit card statement, a month has already passed. So this new balance is the amount that you would have to pay in full. If not, you get charged interest on that amount. On the other hand, you would also see a minimum payment amount. All credit cards have a certain amount that you would have to pay to avoid late fees. This typically ranges around $25 to $35. If you were just to pay the minimum amount, you will not be charged for any late fees, but for the balance that you do have on the card, that would be rolled onto the next month and you get charged interest on that amount. So hopefully I did not make it sound too confusing. As long as you make the minimum payment or more, you will never have a late payment. That's why I would always recommend to have auto payments set up and have it set to pay statement balance in full. So if you do want to play this credit card game, you gotta play it right. So if something happens that month and you could not pay off your credit card, and if it becomes 30 days past due, this will get reported to the credit bureaus. And once this hits them, this will be on your credit report for 7 years. That is a very long time. The second biggest factor that goes into your credit score is your credit utilization. This is also known as the amounts owed. Whenever you do get approved for a credit card, you get access to a credit line. So let's just say that you get approved for a Chase Freedom card and they give you $1,000 as a credit line. If you have not used the card yet, your credit utilization right now would be 0%. But once you buy that new PS5, this will cost you $500. Your credit utilization is now 50%. So in a nutshell, credit utilization is the amount of credit that you actually use. So the only time this affects your credit score is when you have a high balance on the credit card whenever you receive your statement. So let's go back to our first example. Let's just say that you bought that PS5, but now you receive your monthly statement and it says that you owe $500. That $500 on a $1,000 limit gets reported to the credit bureaus. The credit bureaus, they do know that you have $1,000 of a credit limit, and once they see you use $500, which is 50%, they will see you as higher risk. Ideally, you want to keep your credit utilization as low as possible. A rule of thumb is 30% or less, but 10% is the best route. But let's just say that you're a new player to the credit card game and your credit card gives you $500. 10 to 30% of $500 is $50 to $150. This is the amount that you should aim for whenever your statement gets processed. But this does not necessarily mean that you need to spend at least $50 to $150 per month. You can definitely spend more. If you buy something and pay it off right away, this frees up the credit that's available to you and also lowers your credit utilization. But I would just leave 10 to 30% of your credit limit until you get your statement balance, then you can just pay it off in full. I know that credit utilization can be a little bit confusing, so I did an in-depth about this particular topic, so I'll post a link up here. But what if you decide to purchase stuff with your credit card and pay it off right away? This is actually the simplest and smartest route of using your credit card, because you know 100% that your expenses are paid off and you will never have to worry about late fees or interest. But whenever you do this, the credit bureaus won't know whether or not that you are using your credit card. Because if you're showing a balance of 0, this will be reported to the credit bureaus and it will just be like, okay, this person is not using any credit. This really does not have any negative or positive effects to your credit score. I was actually doing this for the longest time until I started to realize how this whole thing worked. So now let's move on to the next tip. Never close an account. This was an early mistake that I made early on when I was getting into credit cards. The first credit card I ever opened was with my own personal bank when I was in the service. So after a couple of years of having that credit card, I decided to close it just due to the fact that I never used it. That was probably one of the dumbest mistakes that I ever made. But you live and you learn, and this is why I'm sharing this information with you guys. Your length of credit plays about 15% of your credit score. So the longer you have your credit card, the better it will be for your credit. Your first credit card does not need to be a banger. It could just be a simple no annual fee card where you may not even get any cash back, but you could just keep it stashed somewhere in a shoebox. Now let's move on to our next tip. Get added on as an authorized user. So for this method, you're gonna need to find someone who has a great credit score, preferably in the high 700s or above. This could be a family member, a relative, or pretty much anyone you have ties with. This does not matter if you have your own credit card or not, this will still work either way. If you get added on to someone else's credit account, you become an authorized user. you basically adopt their credit history and limit on that card. So in turn, this will have positive effects to your credit score. I'm gonna say that the biggest downside about this route is actually trying to find someone that trusts you. So this is what I would recommend. Whoever decides to get you added on as an authorized user, let them keep the card or maybe even shred it so there's no possible way of you risking their credit score if you mess it up. The reason why I say do this even if you do have a credit card is that you have greater options when it comes down to your credit. Meaning that you can get better cards, better rates for loans, mortgages, and a bunch of other things that deal with your credit score. So you don't have to be completely new for this strategy to affect you. You can be an experienced credit card holder and this will still help you out a lot. So moving on to my next tip. Apply for a new credit card every 5 to 6 months. The reason why I say this is that when you apply for too many credit cards in a short period of time, this will have a negative effect to your credit score. So going back to the credit score circle, 10% of your credit score is new credit. The thing is that every time you apply for a new credit card, especially for personal credit cards, the majority of them, they do a hard pull. A hard credit pull is when a company pulls a full credit report, and this will typically bring down your credit score for a few months. Hard credit pulls, they stay in your credit report for 24 months. You generally want to keep this as a minimum, so a good rule of thumb is 4 within 24 months. Less is actually better. So when I say 5 to 6 months, that's roughly around 5 to 4 credit cards every 2 years. Well, there are actual ways around this, so I'll post a link for the video up here. So for that particular strategy, that one is a little bit more advanced. Now let's keep it moving with the next tip. Monitor your credit. This is so important because if you're not tracking your progress, you really don't know where you're heading. A lot of credit card issuers, whenever you sign onto the website, a lot of times they do give you access to your FICO score. But if they do not, you can just download the Credit Karma app. I must be honest that Credit Karma is not the most accurate free credit score, but it does a pretty good job of estimating of where your credit score is at. You can also get a free annual credit report at freeannualcreditreport.com. Pulling your credit report every single year is just a smart thing to do because there are sometimes mistakes that happen to your credit report and have negative effects on your credit score. And a lot of people, they have no idea that these are on the credit report. If you ever go to a car dealership and apply for a loan, they may pull your credit 15 different times. The thing is that the majority of the time, they do shop around for different rates and the credit bureaus are smart enough to know that this is just one occurrence. So sometimes mistakes do happen and it will look like you have 15 hard pulls in a short period of time. And these hard pulls will stay in your credit report for 2 years. So the only way to fix this is to dispute this with the credit bureaus. Without monitoring your credit report, you would have no clue this actually happened. Alright guys, so that pretty much does it for me. If you guys haven't already, make sure you give this video a like because that really helps support the channel. And if you want to hang out with me some more, I'll see you guys in my next videos.